Yo, it's Guido coming at you with the Tactics Talk. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. As you can see, we have another premium tank. This time a medium, French-German. It's in the French line. Tier 6 Panther, basically. A captured Panther, much like the Poodle idea. Or even the King Tiger C captured. And it's a tier down at tier 6. So it's a down-tiered tier 6 Panther, much like the Poodle. If you have driven the Poodle or know anything about the Poodle, you might be able to skip this review because it is basically the same. However, we're going to go through it. We're going to give it the full Monty, and it is the Bretagne Panther. Bretagne Panther. I think that's close. It's definitely not exactly how you say it, but it's close. It is a Panther Aus A. It's an A model, whereas the Poodle, I believe, is a G model. This is an earlier model, the A model here. And you can see that it is tier 6, and it looks like a Panther. So what is there to say? Decently angled front, fairly thick, okay mantlet, decently armored side actually as well, but very large. Skoda is basically the same size, but as far as a Cromwell, it's much smaller. Firefly, not quite as big. You can see it's just a great big billboard of a side. Even the Sturv is really small, the Rudy is smaller, yada yada. Now the interesting thing about this is basically a 3001M. 3001M is the prototype of the Panther from the MAN company, and the competition for that particular tank class, 30-ton tank class, was actually the 3001D, which, what does that look like? Looks like a T-34, so it's basically a German T-34 copy, but this is the one that won, and of course the production model here is, at least for the A, is the Bretagne, and then you've got the Poodle, which is the G model right there, and the stats are extremely similar. So we'll look at the Tech Tree 3D model, do a comparison amongst its peers, look at my stats, my setup, and I'll give you some examples of gameplay for the Bretagne Panther, a French tier 6 medium tank, German captured tank. Let's do it. As it is a premium, you do not have any modules that you have to unlock. As it is a German Panther, it's got 5 crew members, and that's a bit of a mess in regards to a crew trainer for the French. The French are all over the place. They have the Rev and the CDC. It's light tanks up to where you split off at tier 9, and you get to 2 different medium tank lines. The MX-30 and 30B have 4 crew members. The 25T AP and the Batchat 25T, as I recall, are 3 crew members. So as far as being a nice, easy, clean crew trainer, this is not it. But it will train those crews. The 3 guys that are in here will get in with your Bretagne Panther crew. You're just going to have some guys left behind on your tier 6 crew trainer. Probably a Rev or a CDC is a better one anyway, but there you go. It's to taste. I failed to mention, I do not know how we are going to have this tank available, whether it's going to just be for sale, if there's going to be a mission or a marathon or what. I have no essay on that. I do understand that it will be out in Europe potentially sooner, so just have to stand by on that one. I'm not really sure how we're going to have access to the Bretagne Panther, but as a crew trainer it works. It's just not clean because the French medium lines are so goofy. Let's move on to the 3D. Well, fine, we'll skip the 3D model. Doesn't appear to be in tanks.gg right now, but it's a Panther, so what else can I say? Like I said, decent angling. Armor right there, not great, but okay. Once you side scrape, that's where this thing shines. As far as a tier 6 medium tank will shine, much like the captured King Tiger, who's down tiered from an 8 to a 7. The armor is fairly significant at tier 6 with this tank. Now, it's not a heavy tank, but for a medium, it is quite well armored. It does have a quite large tumor on the top as far as a hatch to shoot. The mantlet is okay. We'll talk about the numbers when we get into the comparison amongst its peers right there. But that is really all there is to say. Very soft back. And of course, the side is a great big billboard, and so is the side of the turret right there. So not really angled much on the turret. Big flat as far as the mantlet goes, but it's relatively thick, and then some fairly decent sized tracks to eat heat and HE, things like that. We'll move on to the... All right, folks, for the comparison, this is kind of interesting right here because it's the same. they goofed around with a couple numbers, but it is basically a Poodle. You see all these numbers are exactly the same. 135 on the damage and 150 on the pen. The pen is relatively high, the damage is low. So it's a little pew-pew gun right there. You see the Skoda. These are all premiums, by the way. There is quite a few premiums, mediums especially, at tier 6. Rate of fire is relatively fast. Reload time at 4 seconds. It'll get down to 3.5 or slightly under with Brothers in Arms and some of the other things like that thrown on top. Gun traverse is okay. It's not really 50 like the Cromwell B. But somewhere around 30, you're going to notice that the turret is slow. That's where I start to notice slow turrets, somewhere around 30, which means sometimes you're going to have to shift the hole to get a turret onto somebody, especially if you're being circled by one of the faster light tanks or one of the wheeled tanks out there. Gun depression is -8. That is usable, not exactly comfortable, but definitely usable. Aiming time is relatively quick at 2.21, but you can see that compared to others in the class, it's worst, right? Or tied for worst with the rest of them. And the dispersion is okay at 0.34. I will tell you, I found it, something about the gun made it feel a lot worse than 0.34. We'll talk about that when we get there. But I don't have Brothers in Arms, so that may be some of the things there that's hurting me a bit. The average DPM is 2012. We're going to move this up so everybody can see it. The average DPM is 2012. That's tied, obviously, for the Pudel. It's near the top, but it's not clearly as good as the outrageously overpowered 3045M or Cromwell B, both of which have needed a nerf for a very long time. Tied for the Panzer IVS. I thought that was interesting. Hit points are high. That's one of the nice things about it. It does have a better hit point pool than the rest of them. I mean, that's really another hit. Almost another hit from a same tier medium, tier 6 medium. There's the whole armor. The difference then between the Pudel and the Bretagne is 5 and then 40 for the sides of the hull, which is going to make it an okay side scraper, not quite as good as the Pudel right there. And then the turret's the same at 100, but that's kind of flat armor. It does have a bit of a curve right there, and it is one of the higher ones other than the Panzer IVS. That surprised me a little bit. I didn't realize the Panzer IVS's turret was actually that good, but because of its relative flatness, it is going to get panned, and 100 really, frankly, isn't that much. It looks like a lot when you look at this list, but when you consider the penetration is 150 on this gun with a standard round, then you can see that, yeah, it's not that great. Mobility is okay. I felt like this was more mobile than the Pudel, and I don't, that's probably a false feeling, but it just felt like it handled better than the Pudel, with just more sprightly. There's nothing in the numbers that would indicate that's true, so take that for what it's worth, merely a feeling from Guido. But it does have enough get up and go to get around the battlefield. It's not Cromwell fast, but you know, it's not a Sturv, which is slow, or a Panzer IV, which these feel real sluggish. So it's a little bit better than those as well. Traverse speed is okay at 31. And then the view range is 370, which is top in class. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. And of course, it's got the best radio you ever saw, which is super important, right? So what do we get out of this? I don't know, man. It's a tier 6. It's a solid tier 6 medium. It's down tiered from a tier 7 medium, which is pretty weak at tier 7. And you'd think, wow, we're really going to have something at tier 6, but the gun lets it down. It just doesn't punch very hard. It is not as accurate as you would like. If you are running the needle gun at tier 7 with its accuracy, this one is going to let you down a little bit. And we'll look at my stats, because it really was a bit of a struggle for me with this gun. And I think that's its biggest weakness. Its Achilles heel is the gun is pretty awful. Even with a decent penetration, just the alpha was crud. And the handling, I'm going to keep saying, there was something off about the handling. I have a low sample size, so take that observation for what it's worth. All right, we'll move on to my stats. So how did I do? I usually do 20 battles, but like I said, it's basically a Pudel. So I played 13. I actually played 10, was going to do the replay, or do the analysis review, and then I was streaming, so I played 3 just to show the guys on the stream the tank. So we ended up with 13. We got 794 average XP, which is okay. 46% win rate. I had a draw in there, actually, which surprised me at one point. And we're going to compare it to the Pudel down here, but let's take a look at it, because the hits are low. 63.39 is pretty bad for me. So there's something I'm doing, probably not letting it zoom all the way in. This gun really feels like it absolutely needs to be zoomed all the way in for it to be any kind of accurate. But damage ratio is okay. Destruction at 243. Armor use 0.5. Again, 0.5 is approaching usable armor. Situationally usable armor. 1 is good armor. 1.0, somewhere around 0.5 is situationally usable. Down at 0.2 or less is just no armor at all. You're getting lucky bounces every now and again. Experience at 794. My DPM is low at 1026. For me at tier 6, a little bit low. And then 202 assist is is quite a bit low. Vehicles destroy 1.31. I had a 2,192 damage game with 4 kills on one instance. You look at the Pudel, it's at 867, so I'm averaging a little bit more experience, and of course my win rate's quite a bit better at 56 for a 36 game sample size. But if we click on that, you'll see that damage cause is roughly the same. Assist damage is a little bit higher. These numbers are roughly the same, 1.44, 2.32, a little bit less on the armor. So look at these numbers. But the big one which surprised me is almost 10% more hits. Almost 10% more on the hit rate. So that is something, if I can improve my hit rate a little bit, that's going to bring some of these stats up and probably make it a little bit more comfortable, get me closer to that 50% win rate or higher potentially, like the Pudel is right there. But as far as the numbers that I'm getting in it, at least with the low sample size, probably underperforming win rate just a little bit on that. It's easily a 50% to 55% tank for me solo. That is how I did. Let's look at my setup. All right, one thing that's probably limiting me a little bit is that I used the crew that came with it, and that's where I got them to, was 74%. So again, no brothers in arms. Could be a big deal. I did not use any directives on this, so I wasn't really in try-hard mode, other than I did have quite a bit of gold. You can see that I have a 17 gold layout right there. That was just simply because the gun is kind of lackadaisical, and I decided to try hard mode on number 2, and I did press 2 quite a bit with this tank. I am carrying a gun rammer. I have vents and optics. I'm starting to lean towards optics a little bit more, kind of testing it out. I know I come down on it a lot, saying it's not really worth it, but I don't believe this tank has a vert stab. Otherwise, I would definitely be running a vert stab. I think it's just the enhanced gun laying drive. Yep, that's what it's got. So I went with the optics on there. You could use the enhanced gun laying drive if you want to run it more like a TD and hide in the back and that kind of thing. But I think this is probably your best setup. It's got great view range, so why not add a little bit more and just have a little bit more of an advantage at that tier, at tier 6 in view range when you're talking about playing against players who don't have great crews. And of course I don't, so that did limit me just a little bit right there. And that was my setup: large kits and a large fire extinguisher. I would recommend fire extinguisher on German tanks. That's to taste. If you want to put food on there, that would help with all the other stats obviously as well, but I think you're going to find yourself burning to the ground quite a bit. If you got a great firefighting crew, maybe you do that, but I think I would recommend against it and put the large kit on a German tank. So let's go ahead and move on to 3 examples of games. All right, for the first example, we'll start off with something easy. We're top tier in a tier 6 and tier 5 battle. That's where a tank like this will pretty well shine. It is a down-tiered tier 6. So as far as the hull goes, you're running a tier 7 tank. As far as the gun goes, you've got a tier 6 gun. I've pressed 2. I expect the KV-2 to show up probably first or very close to first. Show you the tanks and the names right there. We got a Stug firing away. I've got a good stack of people. I'm angled, maybe a little too much right there. And then we've got a guy go zinging past. There goes the HT number 6. He does not care, so he just charges in there. Stug 3 is moving around. We'll switch sides here. See if we can react to get rid of this Stug 3. HT number 6 is pushing in. Stug 3 goes down. KV-2R is right there. The Rudy. So we'll push past where the Rudy can get shots on us. Hoping that the KV-2R is busy looking at the number 6. He fires. Now we're going to go. So we'll come on in here. A shot on him. Take a hit in the back from the Rudy. That's not good. Take another shot into the KV-2R. I'm exposing myself to the Rudy more than I want to be. I take 2 shots I did not need to take. Thinking I can kill him there, and I'm very glad he did not reload. Puts a shot into the number 6. That hurts. Let's see if we can get this guy in the corner. No, goes into the rubble. There we go. Someone else gets him down. Now we've got the Rudy over here out in the open. Yeah, and I kind of figured I'd get hit in the side. T67. Unfortunately, now I'm sort of trapped in this spot. We got the Rudy right there as well. And here comes the KV-2. Now, this is a good thing here with the armor. You see he misses, so that's fortunate. I put one in there. But here's the problem with the gun, right? It's a pew-pew gun. Takes a while to get through people. There's a bounce. Just put a little angle on him, trying to make it as hard as possible for him to hit me. That one goes into the track. Put another shot into him, and down he goes. So the armor did a nice job of holding up right there. Put a shot into the Rudy. Here he comes. He misses. Checking 6. It's just me and the HT number 6. I know the 67 is out there in the field, so I don't want to go out into the open right there and let him machine gun me down. But I do need to figure out how to get rid of this Rudy. I'm expecting somebody to show up behind me at any moment. There's the 67 out there. Takes a shot. And I miss. He's doing a nice job of hold down right there. And the Rudy does not seem interested in coming in at us. 67's making a runner. I wish I had seen that a little bit earlier. I might have been ready to pop out and take a shot at him as he goes. So I'll just reposition, follow the HT number 6, and we will go over here and try to take on this T-67, who pushes in without the support of the Rudy, it looks like. And down he goes. So we double tap that guy, and we're able to preserve the HT number 6 life, if not all of his hit points. And we got 2 artillery left, and 1 Rudy. The T-67 goes out, kind of gets him busy looking at him. Takes a hit, unfortunately. And we'll come around here, see if we can get a shot on him. He's behind the hill. Unfortunately, they killed the T-67. Now I'm kind of waiting for the Rudy. I'm hoping he'll come around that corner. I feel like if I go out into the open there between the Rudy and 2 artillery, I won't last very long. I'm hoping the Hellcat and the 304 will actually find one of their artillery over there. So we'll back out of this thing. You can see that it's got decent mobility, like most mediums. Not amazing, but decent. It can get around the battlefield. So we're going to flex all the way back here, try to change this fight a bit. They ended up killing my HT number 6, who was unwise and went out into the open and challenged the artillery with 80 hit points or whatever he had. Come all the way around this way, and that is one thing that a medium can do, and this one can do it. It can be in one place and pretty quickly be somewhere else. A lot of times that is your best plan of action. So we're going to move all around. We got 9 minutes, all kinds of time left. Only 1,000 damage and 53 spotting. This was, I believe, my first game in the tank. Spammed a bunch of gold, obviously. Come back through here. I noticed that the Hellcat had moved up, so instead of going all the way around the outside, I decided to come through the middle. And I don't have 6th sense, so that is a bit of a problem. Really, I am doing 6th sense by fire, right? If I move out and get shot at, then there's somebody there. That's just not the best way to do it. Still looking for the Rudy, and there is 1 artillery left. Probably both in the corner over there. Use this guy as a little bit of armor. No shots come in, but I'm going to back out. Don't have 6th sense, so I can't go out, see if I get lit. I need to back out and go dark if I can. I might be really staying a little too close to the edge. Hellcat's actually doing a pretty good job. Probably I should be doing that with my armor and hit points. And all of a sudden, oh, there's the Rudy. It's all the way in the back. Which is why I didn't take any fire poking around right there. Looks like he followed me up. So we're just going to go ahead and move in here, see if we can get rid of this artillery. There's a shot. See, if you fully zoom, not too bad. A couple gold rounds I didn't really need to shoot at that guy. And instead of chasing the Rudy, potentially losing to him, I'm just going to come around here. We're going to jump on Cap. Force him to come back and expose himself, and if he wants to duel us, then we'll take him out from there. Just come in and kind of protect the 304 a little bit. And once we get 3 on, we win. We don't see him. He never gets back to us. Ends up being a win. So 1,374, 53 assists. Right, not the most amazing game. First game, though, but a good showcase of a basic Tier 6 medium tank, right? Not amazing, but definitely capable. Definitely capable. And the cool thing is, you know, it's the historical deal of the captured tank used by the Allies going on. Let's look at the next example. Alright, for the second example, we're bottom tier this time, and that's where you've got to be careful with a tier 6 medium. A tier 6 medium bottom tier, that can be rough. We got some couple tier 8s though. The nice thing here is it's not the old 357, there's only 2 tier 8s on each side. Bunch of 7s and some 6s. There are 3 artillery. So we'll come up here to the middle and we'll see what we can do. I've got some guys pushing towards the middle with the Lorraine and the 3601, so I'm just going to anchor this little area here and see what we can do. Again, I don't have 6th sense, so I do have to be careful as far as being spotted. A decent amount of guys going up to the north, and nobody went to the south. So right off the bat, this one's going a little bit weird, and all of a sudden a GW of ours drowned. So we're down an artillery from the very beginning. King Tiger's down the bottom. The 3045 is taking on the WZ-131. And now we've got some light tank action showing up top, and we got a pretty big push headed up into the north. A bit surprising there, some light tanks. So I'm just going to wait for this to develop a little bit before I make a move. A lot of their tanks are down in the town, which I thought was interesting. They seem to be moving towards the south corner. So I'll sneak a shot into him. I'm going to back out though. But then I noticed the T-71 DA has cleared the road. So nobody's there. All of a sudden now we've got the 45 is back up on the hill along with the pilot. So the enemy team right off the bat. And there's that example of I didn't let it completely zoom. And I just whiffed that first shot. So there's a shot I wish I had. I'm going to switch to him. The other guy's running. This is a more important target. And you can see there's that relative damage of 135. It just takes a long time for this tank to whittle anybody down. It's not a gun anyone's going to fear. Not unless they have 100 hit points. So push around here. We got a Tiger C. Down goes the Su-8. That's a good kill. There's still a scrap up north, and all of a sudden the 01 just decides to drive through, and I'm just going to take advantage. I finally pressed 2, so I avoided that until now, but a nice juicy back end here of the 01. And just look how long it takes to do any kind of real damage to this guy. It just takes me forever. I shoot him a bunch, and I just can't kill him. I cannot seal the deal with him. Put a shot into the Lorraine. He is done with his reload, and off he goes to go get his reload. And now I'm going to sit here and bounce off of the Tiger C captured, King Tiger C. You can see the pilot, the S-51, and another tanker up on that sniper hill, so you have to be careful. The pilots actually moved forward. My team has pushed them back from the north, and we reacted a bit to the south. So things are looking actually pretty good right now. Two of their 2-8s are still alive, as are ours. Now we have an ally crash. I mean, our guys are just killing themselves for some reason. I can't figure out why. Lorraine's going to see me right here. I'm going to look for a shot on his side. Get 1. Maybe 2. No, he's able to sneak away. And I don't want to come up and above there because there's still guys, the 40 TP and the S-51. So I'm actually back down here so I don't tempt that S-51 to drop one right on me. And now I'm on the soap rocks and I cannot get up and out of this hole. So the 25 TP has moved up and around. He's still up on the road. So I'm going to come up to this bush and see if I can't spot this 40 TP or S-51. Maybe they'll fire. I also would like to get in and get rid of the Lorraine, but as an autoloader, and because of how weak my gun is, I'm just going to get machine gun down more than likely before I can even get about 2 shots in. And I think he's going to be 3 or 4 for me to kill him. Our Tiger, King Tiger capture is actually doing good work, and there's the S-51. We find him. Somebody gets him spotted. I'm going to take a chance on the 40 TP and move in here towards the Lorraine. That's one of the shots I needed, and there's that autoloader hitting me. And I bounce, so that makes me feel like he's on a reload. I don't quite sneak back before the T-71 CMCD gets a piece of me, and now I'm kind of in trouble. I'm an easy 2-shot for the Lorraine, and if I add 1 shot in from the CMCD, I'm in a hurting status. But I see him now flex back. They're in trouble. And I've got my Lorraine coming in. He's crying SOS. I don't really know why. He didn't just go around the corner and machine gun this guy down, because I'm going to come in and help him. Down he goes. And now we'll move in. 1,700 damage. We've cleaned up that south corner. Just the Hellcat. The CMCD was running back, trying to get away. And we'll move on in here and see if we can't find these guys. There he goes. And for a wonder, that one works on the run. So we get that shot. Down he goes. Sort of expected the Hellcat to shoot me right there, but turns out he's faded back a bit. We've got 1,800 damage. So when the tank works, and you know that really applies to any tank, but when it's able to be a fire support kind of tank, I'll fix the engine, I'll shoot him again. Be a fire support kind of tank and not be the complete center of focus as far as the strength of your team. As a support tank, it can really get in there and be kind of annoying, right? Like most mediums can. Didn't manage to bounce anything on that one. I did get 379 assist, 2,192 damage. As you can see, I pressed 2 and spammed a lot of gold. This gun just really requires that. Potentially not necessarily in this game. I was shooting a lot of stuff that was either in the side or had fairly light armor. Obviously the King Tiger I was going to need some, but I was probably never going to pen the King Tiger from the front unless I could get down into his lower plate, maybe even with some look up potentially. 195 was going to struggle to do that no matter what. But another good example too of a couple shots where I didn't zoom in and I missed, and then you know I got a snap or two in there that worked, or a moving shot that actually worked. Close in, like most guns, fairly decent and reliable, but it really does, the gun handling really does require that you're careful with your shots. And that's interesting because it's such a fast firing gun that you want to just continue to fire and fire and fire. But that's always been one of the Panther's problems. You would think the gun would be much more accurate than it is, but it isn't. All right, man, let's wrap this up. Well, all right, guys, that is it for the Bretagne Panther, a Tier 6 French, German-built medium tank. What would you say about this? Well, it's a Poudel, and the Poudel is a Panther, and the Bretagne Panther is a Panther, and they're all Panthers. And they've got different skins and camos and stuff, and I like that, to be quite honest. I do like the historical stuff. It does not bother me that you have multiple options for the same tank. But if you're looking for something different than what exists, this is not it. It is basically a Poudel. It is basically a 3000, what is it, 3002M. It is basically a down-tiered Panther at Tier 6 in a roughly stock configuration. Capable tank, can be very fun, can also be frustrating because at Tier 6 against Tier 8s, that's a bit of a nightmare. The gun does let it down. That's one of the problems. One of the problems with down-tiering tanks is obviously they maintain the hull typically and the other stats, but the balancing mechanism is taking a dump on the gun. And the gun is, you know, it is what it is. It's average at best, and sometimes it's bad. It really is. That is all I got to say about the Bretagne Panther. No idea how we can get a hold of this thing. No idea yet, but I'll let you know as soon as I know. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I do appreciate it, and we will see you.